why startup and SMEs are even better to use this compared to the big companies. It's because when you know how to convert, you can spend less time, less money to gain more interest and close more sales. So essentially, this blueprint helps brands to compete with the competition more efficiently, even if they have less funding or resources, right?
Welcome to the iSearch podcast. Today we have Sasha Tan on the show. So Sasha is a branding and product expert who have built or grown more than 10 startups that went on to become companies worth over $400 million, with most of them starting from zero. Sasha is also an award-winning entrepreneur with Forbes 30 Under 30 and also Prestige 40 Under 40. So today I'll be discussing with Sasha on a unique branding blueprint to beat out your competitors and also become the market leader. So welcome to the podcast, Sasha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's begin. So before we dive into the blueprint, how would you define the meaning of a brand?
Yeah, I think to answer these questions is worthwhile to first understand the essence of business. If you really take a step back to think about it, business essentially is just capitalizations of a solution to a need. So brand is basically what distinguishes you from the other solutions. So that means, in contrary to popular explanations, I think a strong brand is not about the style. It should be a successful embodiment of a feeling that you, out of everyone else, can fulfill their need effectively.
Okay, cool. So what is the background story that made you discover this branding blueprint?
Yeah, since 2013, I have been building startup as founder and founding team members. So after my 7-year sole founded startup was sold last year, I was invited to consult a few amazing growth stage startups. But I realized I was still solving a lot of symptoms, basically surface level problems. And I kept doing that again and again. So I decided to turn what I learned in the past 10 years into a blueprint so that it can help founders kill the disease from its root, and then they can outshine their competitions more effectively.
Okay.
So that's how the blueprint came into existence.
Yeah. So this has been going on and you have been iterating it for like the past
Right.
10 years because it's
Right.
2013 now, it's already 2023.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Right. So can you give us like a little peek into how the blueprint works and also like how can brands get started to implement?
Yeah, so what happened is most of the time businesses treat branding and product as their business checklist. So they go in and then they build what they like without the clarity of what actually compels their ideal customers to purchase. And because they don't know what compels and what is the trigger, they don't know how to effectively package their brands to attract attention, let alone knowing what objections to overcome in order to convert them. So what happened is that this blueprint is built on exactly that success path. I call it C.A.C, stands for clarity, attract, and convert. And how it flows together is first, you're gonna know how to compel your ideal customers. And once you know, only you can show up as the one, right, in your branding and content. And then you also know how to actively close them in your funnels. So how I actually do it is, like in clarity's step, you need to find out what actually compels the purchase from you. Because if you don't, you will be spending a lot of money to filter out paying customers, and it takes longer to grow your business. So the standard strategy taught in the industry, they stop at using buyer persona. For example, a buyer persona could be mom. In general, it works, but it also means that you are only finding out category of people you want. So what I teach in the C.A.C is a strategy I call facet persona method. Basically, instead of just buyer persona, you go one level deeper to find out the character trait that is the true driving force that drive conversion. And then you map that trait journey out like a movie. So instead of targeting customers, like targeting mom, you are converting the customers at the right time and the right place, and you know exactly how to trigger them. So a very straightforward example would be buyer persona is mom, and then the facet persona could be something like caretaker. So caretaker doesn't only exist in mom, right? It also exists in maybe single dad or big brother, big sisters, yeah, things like that. And you can feel that it just the difference of this target, it really affects everything down the funnel. How you communicate, how you show as a brand, and things like that. So that brings us to the second step, which is attract. So instead of begging for attention, you need to attract the attention in your branding and your communication. And of course, good branding is not just a pretty logo. Good branding is one that will attract and resonate with your potential customers like a magnet. So you need to be looking and speaking in ways your customer will be attracted. So if you do that well, you don't need to spend so much money or discount just to lure them in. You can spend the money on growing your business faster instead. And if you bring down the clarity that we had in the first step into your product, it brings us to the third stage, which is convert. So in convert, basically you need to not just have positioning as a message. You need to integrate the positioning into your product as well, so that you have unfair advantage, right? So that is one part. And when you're integrating, I think a common pitfall is that, especially in startup, there's just so much possibilities, so much potential, but we never have enough time.
Yep.
So I think the second part of this convert step is that you need to find out, like, instead of investing excessive time and resources into building everything before you find out even if it works, you need to effectively prioritize. For me, I use an impact prioritization called FAST formula. I build it based on a method called BUC. BUC stands for business value, user value, and cost. In this context, cost could be like, your engineering resources or your marketing spend. So taking the BUC methods, and then I just kind of like make it a formula where whenever you key in the task or the feature or the ideas, it can automatically kind of calculate the impact levels that of each task. So basically, by doing that, you kind of like create a conversion-driven roadmap that can get to your aha moment like as soon as possible. So basically, gelling these three steps together, which is the C.A.C, clarity, attract, and convert, it kind of help founders find out the high conversion positioning strategy that can help them outperform their market competitions more effectively.
Right. Okay. I guess one question that usually business will have, they will say that, okay, I don't have like a target customers, which is mom or caretaker, because I want to target everyone. Everyone also can buy my product or my service. What would you say for that?
Yeah, so basically, it's very critical, especially for startups. If you are not a startup, you have high leverage on your capital. I wouldn't say anything, because when you have capital, it's a big leverage. Then you can, of course, go into the market and then you can cover as much market as you want. But if you take these methods and then we apply it on startup, then it's a very critical pitfall, because you have limited time, limited resources, and you can't be doing everything and everyone all at once. Because if you are using just $5 to target everyone, you're gonna end up with no one. So I always tell like my client, yes, you can aim everyone, but you need to understand that every single target takes a different time to convert. And a good conversion strategy, especially when you have limited resources, is to convert the one that take the least time, and then you aim all of them at the least time. And then when you have more resources, you aim the second level, right? And then you aim the one that is the furthest to convert. Like they don't even have this mindset in mind to purchase a solution yet. So that means that they need more education. So if you have limited resources, definitely do the one that takes the least time, and then you slowly move up to the one that takes longer to convert.
So go for like the warmer audience first, then only go for like the cold audience in the future once you have already converted a lot of warm audience.
Yeah, depending on what warm audience you mean.
Warm means like they already see your product many times and they're ready to buy and they're within like your customer segment. Whereas like cold is like the general public.
I would say, let me give you an example. So a client of mine mentioned to me like, okay, I'm going to start a new beauty product, and of course, everyone can buy this new beauty product, including me. So I was telling her that I might not be your target audience, and she said that of course you are my target audience because you want to be beautiful, you have the money to buy it, right? And then I told her that because I don't have the behavior of customizing my skincare, which is their niche at the time. And because of that, you're going to convince me 3 times more using your money, your time, or your messages, or give me more discount or more benefit, right? You're going to throw me more thing in order for me to convert. Of course, I'm not saying that I'm not your target customer, but not at that time. When you're first starting out, you want to get momentum fast, when you get to your 1,000 customers fast, then you will be wasting time barging on the wrong tree for them. But once they have like, let's say 1,000 customers, and then now they have the momentums and the capitals to continue expanding the market, yes, they can obviously throw in more discounts or like better packages or better offering, better educations materials to target me.
Right. So would you say like a benchmark for a new startup would be like to get to your first 1,000 customers first?
Yeah, could be. But
Okay.
also the way to get there is very important. Because in positionings, it's the fundamentals of business, right? Getting to destinations is just a milestone. So getting to 1,000 customers, you can tell them that all on 50% discount and you can still get them. But that is not a solid positioning. So to answer your question, I think getting to 1,000 customers is a milestone, but I wouldn't say that is the ultimate milestones to achieve if they are a new startup. A new startup should be validating their positioning. In other words, is product market fit. They need to validate that first to know that there is a scaling opportunity before they even aim for any numeric milestones.
Okay. So I guess then the next question how can they like validate their product? What are some methods to validate this to get this product market fit?
If you can do the C.A.C well, you can definitely understand the momentums already. You somewhat get a sense of where's your product market fit from there.
Okay. So then let's look at some real life scenario. Could you share some examples of how you have used this blueprint, this C.A.C, to help brands in different industries?
Yeah, I've polished this blueprint, iterating and polishing them in many different industries like commerce platform, fintech, martech, FMCG, and probably more. And I realized this blueprint works on all of them, regardless of the niche, because the psychology of positioning and conversion are universal and they're not industry specific. So, for instance, we have done a solid positioning that enable an on-demand platform's valuations to reach over 250 millions at its peak. And then, on the other hand, also we have used it on a commerce platform that faced a daunting 36-month launch delay. And just with the strategic repositioning, we turned things around in just 8 weeks.
Okay, interesting. The next one is would this blueprint work for like startups or SMEs with minimal or no funding? Like how can they stand out versus the bigger corporations?
Yeah, the short answer is definitely, and it's exactly why startup and SMEs are even better to use this compared to the big companies? It's because when you know how to convert, you can spend less time, less money to gain more interest and close more sales. So essentially, this blueprint helps brands to compete with the competition more efficiently, even if they have less funding or resources, right? So it definitely benefits three types of founders. First is new founders, so they know how to start off the startup the right way. The second one is the first time tech founders. Sometimes the founders are domain expert and then they come into like tech industries. So this one can help them get their product market fit fast. And then the third one is a seasoned founder or seasoned executive who is quite resourceful in like wanting to outshine competitions and win more efficiently.
Okay, so then let's talk about the attribution part. How can founders measure the success and also like the progress of their brand development?
I would say when you start seeing a good conversion rate, sales conversion rate, a high return of ad spend, and most importantly, a high organic sales, then it's a strong indicator that your brand holds a strong top of mind. And also your offer is sticky, right? So when this happens, your brand basically address our initial questions about branding in your first question. Essentially, you have effectively embodied the feeling of you out of everyone else can effectively fulfill their needs.
Right. Then I got an interesting question. Like, let's say if they have run like say social media campaigns, and they
Yeah,
say, okay, I'm getting many likes, many
yeah,
comments, many
yeah.
shares here and there, but I'm not seeing any sales. Does it mean that there's something wrong with my brand or something else?
I would first ask them about their funnel numbers because social media is actually at the top of the funnel, which is awareness. So if you're getting a lot of likes, a lot of engagement, it's an indicator that the post is doing well. But in order to know whether the result is there, we kind of need to know whether those and momentum flow into the funnels and convert into actual result. So I wouldn't straight away say that, hey, you're doing great for your as a result. I would say it's a good signal that you are putting out the right content.
Yep. Because ultimately, every business they still need like the sales to survive. So I guess
Mm.
maybe they need to look at multiple different factors as well. Maybe is it the pricing is too high or is something else? Okay.
Mm.
So the next one is yeah, this will be an interesting one. So in 2023, there's so many marketing platforms. There's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, influencers, TikTok, and many more. So which
Correct.
platform would you recommend for companies to maximize their branding and also get their message across, especially when they have like say minimal funding or cash?
In my opinion, there's no one size fit all answer to this question. I would say the key is to get the clarity, which involve knowing where your ideal customer are either passively or actively seeking the solutions you provide. And then when you know that, that's where your strongest channel are. So, for example, a client of mine who is building the first authenticated sneaker trading platform in Malaysia, initially they confine themselves to the must-use platforms, right? Like Facebook or Instagram. But once we finish our clarity step, they realize there's this platform called 小红书,
Right.
literary book, and also retail shops. Those two are their biggest leverage. And by finding that out, they went from just 1% conversion rate to over 5.4 conversion rate. And industry rate is 3%. And that is also within weeks. So that's why I think there's no fixed channels that everyone else should jump on. It's more like where are your customers active or passively looking for the solution.
So how would they know like whether it's my customers on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Xiaohongshu?
Yeah, so in my clarity step, we basically do like customers interview, and that brings another question. Actually, if you're doing your customer interview wrong, you usually will not get a lot of insight. Like on the standard practice, I find a lot of client of mine before they came to me, they were asking for answers in those customer interviews. So when they ask for answers, you don't get to see the potential, you don't get to see the opportunity. So when they change their questions to what I use, only they find out all this like hidden opportunity, hidden potential. So in order to find out where is your strongest channels, you basically need to ask the right questions to know where they are hanging out throughout their purchase journey. And when they think about it, when they are having trouble, where do they go? Where do they kind of like find solutions? And those could serve as your guideline to your channels.
Okay. Cool. So we're coming towards the end of the show. So how can brands like get access to your branding blueprint?
Yeah, if anyone needs support in building a highly competitive brand, I actually do teach my blueprint to founders in a 12 weeks program and help them to position their startup to outperform their competition. You can definitely reach out to me on Instagram at Dear Hustlers or on LinkedIn as Sasha Tan.
Right. Cool. So thanks, Sasha, for coming onto the show. Check out Sasha Tan down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.